For 20,000 years, the stars were silent. No signs of humanity could be found anywhere. Their great civilizations, their mighty ships, even their names had been forgotten by the galaxy. Many believed humans had vanished forever, lost to time and space. But then, deep in the darkness between the stars, a faint signal blinked on the scanners of the United Galactic Federation's space station. The signal was strange, old and broken, but still alive. It came from a place long thought empty, a place where nothing had been seen for thousands of years. Captain Lyra Khan stared at the glowing screen. Her heart raced. She had spent her entire career chasing rumors of lost human technology, but this was different. The signal was real. It was coming from a massive ship, one so old it had to be from the earliest days of human space travel. "The signal is faint," said her science officer, Jalen, "but it's definitely from an ancient human warship, a Dreadnought, the kind we only see in old history books." Lyra's eyes narrowed. If that ship is still out there, it could change everything we know about the galaxy. Humanity was supposed to be gone, but maybe they never really disappeared. The Federation commanders called an emergency meeting. News of the signal spread fast. The galaxy held its breath. Some were afraid. Humanity's wars had been brutal. Their ships had destroyed entire fleets. Their weapons were feared across the stars. If this Dreadnought had returned, what did it want? Was it a warning? A call for help? Or a sign of war? Others were curious. Humanity had been a mystery for thousands of years. Many hoped the return of the Dreadnought would bring answers. Who were the humans? Why did they vanish? And what secrets did their lost ships hold? Lyra was given the mission to investigate. Her ship, the star cruiser Sentinel, was the fastest and most powerful vessel in the Federation fleet. She gathered her best crew and prepared for the journey into the unknown. As the Sentinel moved closer to the signal's source, strange things began to happen. The stars around them seemed to dim, and the space itself felt heavy. The Dreadnought was in a dark region of space, an area filled with ancient ruins and dangerous energy fields. "Captain, sensors are picking up strange readings," Jalen said. "This area was once a battleground between humans and their enemies. It's a place no one dared enter for thousands of years." Lyra tightened her grip on the control panel. "We don't have a choice. The signal might be our only chance to learn about humanity's fate." Hours passed as the Sentinel crossed the silent void. The signal grew stronger, guiding them deeper, into the darkness. Suddenly, a massive shape appeared on the scanners. It was the Dreadnought. Its hull was scarred and covered in space dust. The ship was enormous, bigger than any modern cruiser. Lyra stared at the image on the screen. "It's real. It's been waiting here all this time." The crew held their breath. No one had ever seen a Dreadnought up close before. It was like looking at a ghost from the past. As they approached, the signal pulsed once more. Then, silence. "No." Answer came from the Dreadnought. No movement, no lights. Jalen frowned. "It's dead, or abandoned." But Lyra was not so sure. "We need to get closer. There could still be life inside." They sent a small shuttle to scan the ship's surface. The images showed the Dreadnought's massive guns, frozen in place. Its engines were cold. Yet, something about it felt alive. Suddenly, the Dreadnought's lights flickered on. The crew gasped. "Captain, it's powering up," Jalen shouted. Lyra's heart pounded. Prepare for possible contact. This could be the moment humanity returns. The Dreadnought's voice came over the radio, distorted but clear. "This is the ship Erebus. Humanity demands to be heard." The room fell silent. Lyra whispered, "Humanity is back." The stars felt colder than usual as the Sentinel moved closer to the massive ship. Everyone on board was quiet. No one knew what to expect. The Dreadnought was more than a ship. It was a symbol, an echo from a time when humanity ruled the stars. Now it was waking from a long sleep. Captain Lyra Khan stood on the bridge watching the screens carefully. The ship before them was enormous, dark, and silent. But now, it was slowly coming to life. Lights flickered along its hull like the first signs of dawn after a long night. The ship was old, but it still had power. Why would it wake up after so many years? Jalen asked, his voice low. His eyes did not leave the monitors. Lyra thought about it. Maybe the ship had waited for something. Maybe it was waiting for them. The Dreadnought's engines began to hum softly, a deep sound that echoed in the silence of space. The Sentinel felt the vibration through its hull. It was as if the old ship was stretching after a long rest. The crew gathered in the control room full of questions. What would happen next? Was humanity alive somewhere? Or was the ship acting on its own? Suddenly, the Dreadnought sent a message. It was short and simple, but carried a weight that filled the room. We are coming home. The words hung in the air like a promise or a warning. Lyra's hands tightened on the console. Who was we? Were there people still alive on the Dreadnought? Or was it just a machine carrying an ancient memory? The ship moved slowly but steadily. It was no longer lost in the dark. It had a purpose. Lyra gave orders to match the Dreadnought's speed. They needed to stay close to understand what was happening. As they followed the ship, strange readings appeared on the sensors. Energy waves, old but still strong, pulsed through space. They were different from anything the crew had seen before. It was like the ship was using a power source from a forgotten age. Captain, Jalen said, pointing at the screen, the Dreadnought is creating a path. It's clearing the way through dangerous space. This ship still knows how to survive. Lyra smiled, though the situation was tense. The Dreadnought was a ghost from the past, but it was still smart, still alive in its own way. Night after night passed as the two ships traveled together. The crew of the Sentinel grew more curious and cautious with every hour. One evening, Lyra walked through the corridors of her ship, thinking about the stories she had heard as a child. Tales of great battles, of heroes and legends. And now, one of those legends was real and awake again. She paused before the large window facing space. The Dreadnought was there, moving through the stars like a giant shadow. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. Suddenly, the communication system beeped. A new message came from the Dreadnought. This time, it was different. Longer. It spoke of a lost history, of a warning from the past. The galaxy has changed. Old enemies have returned. They wait for us in the dark. The crew exchanged worried looks. The message made it clear that the Dreadnought's return was not just about the past. It was a sign of something bigger, something coming. Lyra took a deep breath. They were not just chasing a ghost anymore. They were chasing a future that could change everything. Prepare for what lies ahead, she said quietly. We have to be ready. The Dreadnought was more than a ship. It was a reminder that humanity, though silent for thousands of years, was not gone. It was waiting for the right moment to rise again, and that moment was now. The Dreadnought's slow but steady journey through the dark space was not unnoticed. Across the galaxy, many eyes watched with a mixture of fear, hope, and curiosity. Messages flew between star systems. Some spoke of wonder, an ancient ship coming back after thousands of years. Others whispered of caution. They remembered the stories told by their ancestors. Stories of a powerful force that once ruled the stars with strength and mystery. The Federation Council gathered again. The room buzzed with questions and fears. How was this possible? Had humanity truly returned after being silent for so long? Was the Dreadnought a sign of peace or something else? Captain Lyra Khan stood before the Council's holographic table. Her voice was calm, but firm. The Dreadnought is more than just a ship. It is a message from the past and a warning for the future. We must learn what it wants and prepare for what may come. While the Council debated, the crew of the Sentinel focused on their mission. They stayed close to the Dreadnought, watching its movements and scanning its signals. It was clear the ship was not alone in its thoughts. Signals reached them, Coded, messages from deep inside the ship. They were hard to decode but full of history, memories, and purpose. Jalen worked day and night trying to understand the meaning. Slowly, a picture began to form. The Dreadnought was calling out, not just to the stars but to humanity itself. It was a call for reunion, for awakening. It wanted to remind the galaxy of the strength and unity humans once held. The message was clear. We are still here. We are ready. As the Dreadnought moved through space, it left traces of energy. These traces were like a path, a guide for others who might be searching. Ancient human colonies, long forgotten and scattered across star systems, began to detect the signal. Far away, on a small planet covered in blue oceans and green forests, a group of humans received the message. They had lived isolated for generations, believing their ancestors lost to time. Now they looked up at the stars with new hope. Among them was a young woman named Ilara. She was curious and brave. When she heard the call from the Dreadnought, she felt a deep connection. It was as if something inside her stirred awake, a memory from long ago. "Ilara," her father said softly, "this is the moment we have waited for. The past and future are coming together." Back on the Sentinel, Lyra studied the signals carefully. "The Dreadnought's message is a beginning, not an end," she said. "It wants to bring humans back to the galaxy. But the question remains, why now?" The answer came soon. Strange. Readings showed other ships hidden in the shadows of space. They were ancient enemies watching silently. These watchers had waited patiently for the Dreadnought to return. They did not speak, but their presence was a warning. The Dreadnought's awakening was a spark in the dark. It would change everything. Lyra knew the coming days would be full of challenges and questions. But she also knew one thing clearly. Humanity's story was far from over. With a steady voice, she told her crew, "We must be ready to welcome our past and face our future. The galaxy is waiting." The dark expanse of space seemed endless as the Sentinel followed the Dreadnought's trail. Deeper into forgotten regions, the silence between stars felt heavier now, as if space itself was holding its breath. The crew was alert, their eyes scanning the instruments, their minds racing with questions. Each pulse from the ancient ship was like a heartbeat, steady and sure, a call that echoed through the void. Captain Lyra Khan stood at the front of the bridge, her gaze fixed on the glowing outline of the Dreadnought. She felt a mix of wonder and responsibility. The ship was more than a relic. It was a sign that something larger was unfolding, something tied to the very essence of humanity's past and future. Jalen approached quietly, holding a data pad filled with new information. "Captain, I've decoded more of the transmissions from the Dreadnought. It speaks of a journey, one that began long before any of us were born. It tells of a promise, a mission to bring humanity back to its rightful place among the stars." Lyra nodded slowly. "A promise? What kind of promise?" "The message mentions a great challenge, something that forced humanity into silence for thousands of years," Jalen said. "But it also speaks of hope. Hope that now is the time to return, to reunite, and to rebuild." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Hope was a fragile thing in the vast darkness of space, but it was powerful enough to light a way forward. Suddenly, the sensors picked up a new signal, faint but unmistakable. It was coming from a nearby planet, hidden deep within an asteroid field. The signal was ancient, similar to the Dreadnought's, but different in tone. It was a beacon, a silent call reaching out from the shadows. Lyra ordered the ship to change course toward the signal's source. The crew moved quickly, their excitement growing. This could be the next piece of the puzzle, a lost human colony, or perhaps a station left behind in the Dark Ages. As they approached, the asteroid field grew denser. Jagged rocks floated in slow motion, casting long shadows across the ship's path. The Sentinel carefully weaved through the debris, sensors alert for any surprises. When they broke through the field, a small planet came into view. Its surface was a patchwork of green forests and deep blue oceans, untouched and beautiful. The beacon was coming from a settlement hidden beneath the planet's thick canopy. Lyra's heart quickened. Prepare a landing party, we need to make contact. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, weaving between tall trees until it reached a clearing. There, nestled in the heart of the forest, was a city unlike any they had seen. It was old yet alive, built with care and respect for the natural world around it. As the landing party stepped out, they were greeted by a group of people. They looked human, but their eyes held a deep wisdom, a connection to something beyond the present. Their leader, an elderly woman named Celine, stepped forward. "We have waited for this day," Celine said softly. "The signal brought you to us. You carry the hope of all who remained hidden." Lyra listened carefully. "Why did you hide? What happened to your people?" Celine's eyes grew distant. "Long ago, when the galaxy was filled with chaos, we chose to protect ourselves by retreating. We kept the memory of humanity alive, waiting for the right time to rejoin the stars. The connection between the Dreadnought, the Sentinel, and this hidden world was becoming clearer. They were part of a larger story, a story of survival, patience, and the slow return from silence." As the sun set over the forest city, Lyra knew their journey was far from over. The past had awakened, and with it a future full of possibilities and challenges. The stars above seemed to shimmer with new light, as if they, too, were ready for the next chapter. The stars above seemed to watch silently, as Captain Lyra Khan and her crew listened carefully to Celine's words. The hidden settlement was not just a refuge, but a guardian of knowledge, secrets passed down through generations. The quiet people of the forest held answers that could change everything humanity thought it knew about its past and its future. As Lyra walked through the city's winding paths, she noticed symbols carved into stone walls, glowing softly in the dim light. They told stories of great journeys, of unity, and of a time when humanity thrived among the stars. This place was a living history book, one waiting to be read. Ilara, the young woman from the distant colony, joined the A group. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "I never imagined the past could be so alive," she said. "It's like we're standing on the edge of something new." Celine smiled gently. "The past is never truly gone. It waits in quiet places, ready to guide those who listen." Back on the Sentinel, Jalen continued to decode the transmissions coming from the Dreadnought. Each message revealed more about humanity's long silence. The ship had been sent on a mission to explore, to protect, and to prepare for a return. Its journey was interrupted by events no one fully understood, forcing it into dormancy. Now it was awake again, signaling that the time to rise had come. Lyra knew that their mission was not only about finding lost colonies or ancient ships. It was about rekindling a connection, bringing together pieces of a story that had been scattered across time and space. The hidden settlement shared their knowledge freely, including advanced technology and star maps long forgotten. This wisdom could help humanity reclaim its place in the galaxy. But the excitement was mixed with caution. The signals from the ancient watchers, the silent observers hidden in the dark, reminded them that the galaxy was not empty. Old threats might still be waiting, watching, and ready to challenge anyone who dared to rise again. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the forest city, Lyra stood outside with Ilara and Celine. The stars above were clear and bright, as if inviting them to look beyond what was visible. "We have the knowledge and the hope," Lyra said quietly. "But we must be ready for what comes next. Our future depends on unity and courage." Ilara nodded. "And on remembering who we are." Celine looked toward the horizon. "The Dreadnought's return is only the beginning. Our story will continue, written by those who dare to dream." The night was filled with quiet promise, a promise that humanity, silent for so long, was waking up and ready to face the stars once more. The long journey through space was reaching a new chapter. Captain Lyra Khan stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon where the Dreadnought moved steadily forward. The ship was no longer just a relic or a mystery. It was a beacon of hope, a sign that humanity's story was far from over. As the Dreadnought and the Sentinel traveled side by side, the crew prepared for what lay ahead. They had gathered knowledge, allies, and strength from hidden colonies, and ancient messages. But the galaxy was vast and full of unknowns. There were mysteries that still needed answers. Jalen approached Lyra with new information. "Captain, the Dreadnought systems have started activating deeper functions. It's like waking a giant from a long sleep. There are parts of the ship that hold secrets we have yet to understand." Lyra nodded. "We must be patient. This ship carries more than technology. It carries our past and our future." The crew began exploring the Dreadnought more closely. Hidden rooms, long sealed, revealed ancient data cores filled with stories of humanity's rise and challenges. The ship was a library in space, carrying memories of triumph and loss. One discovery stood out, a star map that marked places humans once called home, and others still unexplored. It was an invitation and a challenge, to reconnect with scattered worlds and to build new bonds. Meanwhile, the Watchers in the dark, those silent observers of the galaxy, began to stir. They had watched humanity's silence for millennia, but the Dreadnought's return was a signal that the balance of power might shift again. Captain Lyra knew that the time to act was near. She gathered her crew and allies. "We are at the dawn of a new era," she said. "We have the chance to write the next chapter in humanity's story. Together, we will face the unknown and reach for the stars." The crew prepared for a journey beyond anything they had ever imagined. They would explore distant systems, find lost colonies, and forge new friendships. The Dreadnought was not just a ship, it was a symbol of hope and unity. As the Sentinel and the Dreadnought moved forward, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if welcoming humanity back. The silence of 20,000 years was broken, replaced by a new song, a song of discovery, courage, and endless possibilities. Humanity was no longer silent. It was awake, ready to rise, and ready to meet the future with open arms.